the focus that we need to talk about. You're talking about corrupt governments and comparing them with the private sector and promoting the private sector, the private sector, the private sector. You put in place accountable governments, non-corrupt government that will use national resources for the development of the majority. This is not a matter of polarizing the private sector and the public sector. These classical arguments about the private sector, the public sector, that makes sense at all. It's out of context. We need to be focused on this matter. We can't blame governments and bring non-governmental organizations to manage our affairs. That is phenomenal in Africa. Go everywhere. Non-governmental organizations are managing governments and discrediting governments and replacing them with what they call private sector. Can you imagine this makes sense to anyone? Now talk about serious things, okay? You want to implement programs, articulate your goals and objectives in the first place, okay? Strategize on how you can achieve these goals and objectives. Then go for detailed plans, sectoral plans or industrial plans, and then mobilize resources for that. Give these plans and the resources to reliable hands, accountable hands. Government or private sector, doesn't matter. It's not a matter of being with or against that party. How do you mobilize these resources to implement programs so that you address climate change?
Thank you.
Yes, focus. Don't get us to some classical discussions about what the private sector can do or the public sector can do. Corrupt governments will not implement any program at all. To talk about real government. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. President.